Hello students, welcome to Minbook study classes for class 10. My name is Nitesh and I will be teaching you mathematics. The topic for today's mathematics study class is quadratic equations. Now let's begin. We have discussed in the session on polynomials about different types of polynomials based on the power of the variable. Now we saw that a polynomial with the highest power of variable as 2 is called a quadratic polynomial. And the corresponding equation, we call it as quadratic equation. Now in this session, we will discuss in detail about quadratic equations. We will take a look at the methods to solve a given quadratic equation, and with the help of that knowledge, we will discuss how to solve some real life problems involving quadratic equations. A quadratic equation can be written in general format as ax square plus bx plus c is equal to 0, where a, b and c are real numbers and a is not equal to 0. You can observe here that if a becomes equal to 0, then the coefficient of x square is 0 and the equation reduces to bx plus c is equal to 0. Now this is a simple linear equation and not a quadratic equation anymore. So for an equation in the format ax square plus bx plus c is equal to 0 to be a quadratic equation, we have two constraints. The first constraint is that a, b and c, they should all three be real numbers and a should be a real number not equal to 0. Alternatively, we can also say that an equation p of x is equal to 0 where the highest power of x is 2 is called a quadratic equation. Now let's take an example and see how quadratic equations are used in our day-to-day problems. This is example number 1 in the chapter Quadratic Equations. Ram and Shyam have 10 pens in total. If they both lost 3 pens, then the product of the number of pens they have is 3. Find out how many pens each of them have. Now the given scenario is that Ram and Shyam have 2 people who have certain number of pens with them. When we add the number of pens that Ram and Shyam have, the total comes out to be 10. Ram lost 3 pens from his stack and Shyam also lost 3 pens from his stack. Then the product of the number of pens that they have now is 3. And we are supposed to find out how many pens each of them have. Now to solve this, we will assume the number of pens they have individually to be some variable. We can say Ram has x pens and Shyam has y pens. But we have a relationship defined between total number of pens they have. So we can write down x plus y is equal to 10, or we can express x in terms of y as x is equal to 10 minus y, or y in terms of x as y is equal to 10 minus x. Now to keep our equation in one variable, we will use x and 10 minus x. So we will say that let Ram have x number of pens, then the number of pens that Shyam has becomes equal to 10 minus x. Now if Ram and Shyam, they both lost 3 pens each, the number of pens that Ram has now becomes x minus 3. And the number of pens that Shyam has becomes 10 minus x minus 3. Now as per the given question, the product of these two numbers is 3. So we can write down the equation x minus 3 multiplied by 10 minus x minus 3 is equal to 3. Now the equation simplifies to x minus 3 in brackets multiplied by 7 minus x in brackets is equal to 3. Now if you multiply the terms in the brackets with each other, it will give us 7x minus x square minus 21 plus 3x is equal to, on simplification, we will get an equation minus x square plus 10x minus 21 equal to 3. Now you can see that this equation is in the format of ax square plus bx plus c is equal to 0. Now this can be called as a quadratic equation. And this quadratic equation is an equation in x. Since x is the number of pens which Ram has, so if we had a way to solve this quadratic equation, we can easily find out the number of pens that Ram has and consequently the number of pens which Shyam has.
Photomath is a new app that solves math problems by simply pointing your phone camera at the equation.
So let's see what are the different methods that we have to solve any quadratic equation. Now the first such method is solution of quadratic equation by factorization. Now if alpha and beta are the two zeros of a quadratic equation, further in this chapter we will refer to zeros as roots as well. So if alpha and beta are the two zeros or two roots of a quadratic equation, then the equation can be written as x minus alpha into x minus beta is equal to 0. So if we can express any quadratic equation in this format, then we can easily find the two roots of the equation to be alpha and beta. Now let's take an example to see how this method of factorization actually works. This is example number 2 in the chapter Quadratic Equations. Now let's take a quadratic equation 2x square minus 5x plus 3 is equal to 0. We have to solve this quadratic equation for the value of x, and the method that we have to use is factorization. Now to do this, we have to split the middle term. We have to split the middle term of the equation in such a way that it is written as a sum or difference of two terms such that the product of the terms is equal to the product of first and the last term of the quadratic equation. So in our example, we need to split minus 5x in such a way that the product of the terms is 2x in square multiplied by 3, which is equal to 6. So we can split minus 5x as minus 3x minus 2x. You can see here the product of minus 3x and minus 2x is equal to 6x square, and minus 3x minus 2x will ultimately result into minus 5x. So there is no difference to the equation if we write minus 5x as minus 3x minus 2x. So let's do that. We write the equation as 2x square minus 3x minus 2x plus 3 is equal to 0. Now you can observe that x is a common factor in the first and second term. So we can take x as a common factor from the first and second term. If we take that common factor x, then we will be left with 2x minus 3 in the first and the second term. Now in third and fourth term there is no common factor, but we have to group the last two terms together. So what we will do is that we will take the minus sign as a common term and we will put 2x plus 3 within the bracket so that it becomes 2x minus 3. So our equation will then simplify to x multiplied by 2x minus 3 in brackets minus as a common term and 2x minus 3 in the brackets is equal to 0. Now you can see that 2x minus 3 is a common factor in both the terms. So we can take that as a common and we can write down 2x minus 3, and what we will be left with, from the first term we will be left with x, from the next term we will be left with 3. So we can write down 2x minus 3 multiplied by x minus 1 is equal to 0. Now we can write down 2x minus 3 is equal to 0 or x minus 1 is equal to 0. Now if we simplify these two linear equations, we will get x is equal to 3 by 2 or we will get x is equal to 1. Now you saw how easy it was to find the zeros once you have factorized the equation. Now any quadratic equation can be solved easily using this method. If you express the middle term correctly, then the rest of the process is very easy. We have also seen that after doing the factorization of the middle term properly, we automatically got 2x minus 3 as a common term and we took that as a common factor. Now the same method will work for any quadratic equation if you are able to factorize the middle term correctly. The next method to solve any quadratic equation is solution of quadratic equation by completing the square. If a quadratic equation can be written as x minus k whole square minus a is equal to 0, then we can write down x minus k is equal to root over a, or we can write down x is equal to root a plus k. So we can see that if in a quadratic equation, if we have a perfect square with the variable, then we can easily find out what is the value of the variable.